Yes. Allez, c'est bon?
social things I compile, each one there to make you smile on a rainy day. They can say it all sounds crazy. They can say we've lost our minds. I don't care if they call us crazy. Run away to a world that we design.
Every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head, a million dreams keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. Oh, a million dreams for the world we're gonna make.
However big, however small, let me be part of it all. Share your dreams with me. You may be right, you may be wrong, but say that you'll bring me along to the world you see, to the world I close my eyes to see. I close my eyes to see.
Every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head.
A million dreams are keeping me
A million dreams, a million dreams. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. A million dreams for the world we're gonna make.
for the world we're gonna make.
You like it?
Some people
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Nice to see you all here. Fantastic to see the audience here, and good morning or evening, afternoon to people who are watching on our live streaming session. Great to see you all this morning. Welcome to Singapore. Welcome to SIGEF 2018, the Social Innovation and Global Ethics Forum. We have a fantastic day lined up for you today, full of inspiration and motivation to make a difference. I'll be telling you a bit more about all of what's coming up in just a moment, but let's get the proceedings underway in a more formal manner. And I want to invite, for the formal opening of today's session, onto the stage to give the welcome, the ambassador to Singapore of Switzerland, Monsieur Fabrice Villiers. Please join us.
Distinguished representatives of Singapore authorities and bodies, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is a real pleasure for me to be here today for the opening of the 5th edition of the Social Innovation and Global Ethics Forum. The forum's previous editions took place in Geneva in 2014 and in 2015, in Marrakesh in 2016, and in Astana in 2017. The forum aims at fostering positive change on the social innovations ecosystem around the world. A double pleasure to be here today, I should say. First, as recently appointed Swiss ambassador in Singapore, I am very grateful to Jonathan Parienti, founder and CEO of Oryu, action-oriented social network for the social good, to have invited me to open the forum this year. As you may know, Horyou is based in Geneva, Switzerland's city of peace, where the world finds solutions. Peace, rights, and well-being are the strands of work of international Geneva actors working together to improve the living conditions of the population globally. Second, the forum takes place here in Singapore. It is the first time that the forum is hosted in Asia. The choice of Singapore could not be better. On the one side, it coincides with Singapore's very successful ASEAN presidency, promoting, among other things, smart cities and innovation. On the other side, it is the recognition of the growing role of Singapore as a platform for dialogue in the region and in the world. Last year, Singapore and Switzerland celebrated 50 years of diplomatic relations. 50 years characterized by a solid and growing partnership. Singapore and Switzerland share a lot of commonalities when it gets to the position in the world. Both countries are recognized bridge builders and play a constructive role in international affairs, promoting peace and security through dialogue. The Social Innovation and Global Ethics Forum 2018 is the leading international forum for impact solution, corporate social responsibility, and philanthropy in resonance with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. The Sustainable Development Goals are the blueprint to achieve a better and more sustainable future for all. A sustainable economic prosperity that provides social dividends. Switzerland has been committed to the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development since its adoption 3 years ago. Worldwide, a dialogue has started and is stimulating private action to align the economy and its innovating power with sustainable development. Innovative technologies can be a powerful tool to mobilize and channel private funds. Innovative technologies have the potential not only to boost the competitiveness of the economy, but also to accelerate sustainable development. You represent private actors. You represent these private actors. Your discussions today will contribute to enrich the agenda for sustainable development. They will push forward social inclusion and a better world for all. I wish you a very successful 5th edition of the forum. Thank you.
Ambassador, thank you so much. Please take a seat and we'll talk to you again in a moment. Our next speaker, ladies and gentlemen, will be addressing you in Japanese. So please take a look on your desks. You'll see a small unit there. Plug the headset in, switch to channel 1 to hear an English translation. In the meantime, allow me to introduce an old friend of Oryu, the main sponsor of SIGEF 2018 and a regular contributor to events like this, the founder of SFC, Mr. Kazuhiro Igata. Please join us on the stage.
こんにちは。日本から、参加させていただいています、久田と言います。本日、このシンガポールで、世界各国より、 皆さんが集まり、このSIGEFを開催できることを心より嬉しく思っています。でこのSIGEFの活動はまず人として人間として当たり前のことを当たり前に取り組む仲間のね集まりだと私は思います。生まれた国、それからまた育ち、宗教、おのおの皆さん違うと思いますが、しかし同じ人間であることは間違いありません。で今、世界中で起きているさまざまな問題、自然環境、温暖化、そして時には台風や地震などの災害、そういったことで非常に困った問題などがたくさんあります。でそういったときに、人として力を合わせ、そして前向きに取り組むことが、救われることや、そしてまた、解決することにつながることは間違いないと私は思っています。でそういった仲間の集まりがこのSIGEFだと私は思っています。本日このシンガポールで開催されているSIGEFもこれから世界中に広まっていくことを願いながら、一人一人の力を合わせながら前向きにこれから取り組んでいくことを願っています。簡単でありますが、私の挨拶にさせていただきます。ありがとうございます。
Please take a seat, sir. Kazuhiro Hisata will be speaking to us a little later on a bit more about his engagement with the platform. But let me finish off the formal introductions by inviting our host, the founder and CEO of Oryu and of SIGEF, Jonathan Parienti, please.
Hello, everyone. Well, it's, like years have passed so fast. I remember 5 years ago, we were in Geneva for the start of something that was an experimentation. When we created Oryu, the social network for social good, it was about a dream. And that dream was about to bring visibility to the people that are doing good in the world and to connect them one to the other. And then it started. And from days after days, we were seeing a real community in the virtual world on the web that were connecting one to the other. But the virtual can only be validated if it happens as well in real life. So that's why we decided to start the Social Innovation and Global Ethics Forum, SIGEF, in Switzerland. That was the land and the country hosting Oryu till now, and I think for numerous years to come. And then we saw that people were really traveling from all over the world to meet, to join forces, to discuss, to interact, and that we had, creativity from all over the world that can find solutions to challenges that are the challenges that we are facing for us and for the generations to come. So now years have passed, and now we are on the 5th year. And after having been part of the COP22, the Conference for the Climate in Marrakesh, and the exposition, on future energy in Kazakhstan, we decided to come in Singapore. Singapore is chairing the ASEAN Summit, as you may know. At the same time, Singapore is a country, it's a place where people from many cultures are living together in a very constructive and peaceful way. At the same time, this is a land where technology is the most creative, I could say, very dynamic environment, and building collaboration with many countries, and the one that has been expressed, like for instance, with Switzerland. So for us, it's a great privilege to be hosting that session and that edition here in Singapore at FinTech. which is as well a conference center, very significant from the technology that is associated, to that place, and welcoming all of you. During the day, we're going to have more than 40 speakers, people from many backgrounds that have been dedicating their life to building the solution of tomorrow. Women and men from many countries that have the same ideal, joining forces to make a world that will be more sustainable and more inclusive. So, in the many sessions that we will be navigating today, from future energy to FinTech and blockchain, impact investing and philanthropy, medtech and health tech, and the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, we will have always in mind how can we make this contribution, leveraging technology, to make it more positive for people, to make it more inclusive, and to build a better future benefiting all. At a time where every day we see some challenges that are coming from the interactions human beings have with its environment, we have the responsibility to build and to find the solutions to cope with that challenge, which is about human survival, and at the same time, the impact of humanity over the life ecosystems that we are impacting every day. With empathy and creativity, with tolerance and generosity, we have the levers to find those solutions. So please, during the day, don't hesitate. Don't be shy. When you see someone, go, connect, exchange details, share about your projects, share about your aspirations, because the aim of it, the aim of this conference, it's about being concrete. Having dreams, and at the same time, making every effort possible to make those dreams reality. So I would like to thank our two, gentlemen that has been opening, that session, our ambassador from Switzerland, and as well Kazuhiro Isata, that is sharing with his word and passion that from many parts of the world, creativity and entrepreneurship can be strengths for good. So to all of you, I wish a very powerful, very energetic, very inspiring 13th of September here with all of us, with people from many continents and countries, but with people that are sharing the same ideal to make a better future, to shape better times to come. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Jonathan, thank you. And don't leave the stage to mark the moment, this fantastic moment of the first SIGEF event in Singapore in Asia. Indeed, let's have an opening photograph and a cheer to begin the events. Please, gentlemen, stand up.
So we're going to declare the SIGEF 2018 open. All the best to all of you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Please take your seats. So, folks, as Jonathan said, we've got an incredibly packed day in front of us. Let me just introduce myself. My name is Taimur Nabili. I'm a journalist and broadcaster based here in Singapore, and a friend of Jonathan and a friend of Oryu, and a supporter of everything that they do. And I'm here for the same reasons that you are, and that is because every element of the agenda that Jonathan has outlined, the development of Asia, the sustainable development goals, the need for inclusivity and sustainability and forward thinking and the way we do our business, our social interactions, needs a new energetic input of thinking. And this is a forum in which we're going to give you some inspiration, some motivation, and some applications by which we can make some of that happen in a meaningful way. We've got individual presentations and speakers. We've got a bunch of panels around various different issues. We're going to attack this issue from various different directions, and I hope you're all going to enjoy it. It's going to be fantastic. We'll begin the process by having our first presentation pitch, a little bit of inspiration to get things underway. Blockchain is a word that you've probably all heard endlessly in the past year or so, and there are endless applications and endless ideas and a lot of noise around this issue. Most of the time we talk about blockchain in terms of transfer of money. Most of the time we talk about it in terms of financial technology and things like that. What if you thought about blockchain as a way to talk about the transfer of value in a different context? In this particular context, we're going to be talking about the transfer of value in terms of time. Natalie, please join us. Natalie Doran is with an institution called FinTech.
I am testing. Good.
And she's going to talk about why and how this can work. Natalie, over to you.
Good morning. Good morning. Where's slides? Okay, fabulous. Thank you for the introduction. Thank you, Oryu, for inviting us, guests. So I guess I'll start off. My name's Natalie Duran. I'm part of FinTech. And before we begin on smart cities, I'll ask you an important question. Now, smart cities promise to use the resources and the assets that they have to hand to benefit all of their peoples. But what is your most valuable asset? Is it your car? Is it your house, your business, your cryptocurrency? Maybe not right now, but what is your most valuable asset? Well, before you make a snap judgment, perhaps you should know some facts. 618,000. What is that? That is the average life expectancy in hours. That's not a lot. Scarier still, after some schooling and after some sleep, if you're lucky, you have 400,000 hours left to build families, impact the world around you, give back. Even the great Steve Jobs knew it. The most valuable asset that we all have is time. What did you do with your last free hour? Were you on Facebook, Instagram, Telegram? But did you have a meaningful interaction? What if you had spent that free hour walking your neighbor's dog, banking that time and using it to learn a new skill? What if you volunteered at a charity for 2 hours and used those hours to learn Japanese? This is a concept known as time banking. Quick show of hands, who's heard of time banking? Okay, good, yeah, quite a few people. Time banking is essentially a concept where individuals can use time to learn new skills, transfer knowledge instead of money. Now, giving our time solves critical issues for individuals, corporations, non-profit organizations, because let's face it, there is huge inequality in the world that we live in. We are living longer, retiring later. AI and machine learning is going to take 800 million jobs in the next 20 years. There is huge social inequality for women, for different backgrounds, ethnicities, and there are huge skills mismatches in corporations. Actually, giving our time can have a huge benefit on our cities, our individuals, and our social interactions. Now, smart cities promise inclusion, sustainability, and financial gain for everyone. And that's FinTech. FinTech is a blockchain that facilitates time exchange for individuals, corporations, non-profit organizations through a utility token and through platforms that are based around time. How that works is essentially we're creating an ecosystem, starting with our own peer-to-peer application, Our Village. We're inviting any time exchange, time banking platform to join our ecosystem and to benefit from blockchain technology. But not just time exchange. Any use case where time is used instead of money, that is non-profit organizations, CSR departments, they're a huge part in connecting all this together. Our peer-to-peer platform, Our Village, enables individuals to exchange services, skills, and errands for time instead of money. Now, what's unique to this platform is that 1 hour of time is worth 1 hour time credit, regardless of age, gender, race, nationality, skill, or service. 1 hour, 1 credit. What we're enabling is students, freelancers, the elderly, mothers who've been out of work to gain hours by giving their time and exchanging those hours for things that they really want, skills they want to learn, to spend their time more meaningfully. So all sounds great. So where are we now? Well, We have begun a private sale of our token. We have signed a small company known as Microsoft as our technology partner to build the decentralized assets to convert our token into time currency used within each platform. We have adoption partners here in Singapore, universities, working with government organizations, family service centers, actually with a combined potential user base of 600,000, 10% of Singapore. We are a real team with a real business, like a lot of blockchain organizations who really care about what we're doing. Our founder, Andy, I think he's lurking around in the back somewhere, 5 IPOs and over 20 companies to his name. It's a team with IPO and ICO experience who are all volunteers themselves. And we have some really great advisors, heads of blockchain associations in Singapore and in Japan, where we facilitated the MOU to exchange information between both organizations. We're trying to build an inclusive world where all you need is your time. Feel free to come and approach us and ask any questions. Thank you.
Great. Natalie, thank you so much. We'll be talking a bit more about blockchain in about an hour or so, folks. We're going to go into it in a little more depth in various different other contexts. But thank you, Natalie, for that introduction. And thank you for mentioning smart cities, because smart cities is where we're going to kick off our first panel. We live in a part of the world where in the next 20 or 30 years, the mega city development is going to be, I mean, I'm not going to give you statistics, but this is the mega city Central Asia, particularly China, obviously. But ASEAN, too, has a number of cities that are developing fast and are going to need the kind of guidance and input from the experts that we've lined up for you today that will allow them to grow sustainably, that will allow them to grow in a way that does not cause further damage to the planet in the way that we have done in past development issues. I'm not going to put it any more gently than that. It's been a major challenge. So let's talk about how this can actually progress in an interesting way. The ASEAN Smart Cities Network was signed off on only a couple of months ago here in Singapore and is one point where we can begin to think about how that development can occur. I'm going to invite onto the stage a bunch of people who can help us discuss this thing further. Let's get their photographs up on the screen and their names. Damien Tan is Managing Director of Vickers Venture Partners. Tuk Vu is co-CEO and founder of Omni Labs. Please join us. Also joining us on the stage today, Kavita Sinha, who is with Silver Spring Networks. And have we said Andy Sim? Yes, we have. Jan Ondrus, who is with the Department of Sciences and Statistics at ESSEC, which is one of the European business schools. Folks, please come and join me on the school. Let's not stand on ceremony. This is
Damien.
Today is going to be a very casual.
Hello.
Andy, nice to meet you. Today's going to be a very casual and interactive session, folks. We're not going to be formal and stilted. Got on the end. And you're going to be seeing a lot of me, incidentally. I'm going to moderate this panel. So I hope you like my tie, because I'm going to be around all day long. And I hope it works for all of you. So we're going to begin talking about smart cities and future technologies, furthering urban sustainability and inclusion. And our panelists come from a multitude of backgrounds, as you can see from the short descriptions on the bios here. And the variety of input is what's interesting here. So I'm going to ask each of you to just address the issue very, very quickly from the perspective of what the idea of sustainability in smart cities means in your context and how you think it relates to the broader background of what we're doing here and the conversations we're having. Kavita, allow me to begin with you. Welcome. Good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Well, I'll state a short story to begin what it means to me about being smart and about using technology. My son is a fractional artificial. His ears that he was born with do nothing for him. They're merely cosmetic. He has an electrode implanted in his brain that helps him hear, listen. He has what was called, when he was born, Pendred syndrome, which means that his ability to grow up as a normal kid would be hindered because some of his glands do not work the way they're supposed to be. He also had what was called auditory dyssynchrony, not classical deaf, which at that time, 14 years ago, meant you could implant a cochlear implant and he would be fine. There was not enough research that cochlear implant would help children with dyssynchrony, which means nerves don't fire at the same time. Long story short, because of technology, I was able to connect to researchers around the world, people who I haven't met even 14 years later, great moms, great parents, and practitioners, therapists, language specialists, as a team who could work across a disruptive universe to help my son. Today, as a 14-year-old, speaks 3 languages, is top of his class in almost all subjects, plays basketball and soccer like every other kid. He was a kid who was supposed to not walk properly, not breathe properly, not be able to speak. That's what the power of technology is, and that's what inclusion is all about. In cities context, cities empower people to come together, create disruptions, talk to each other, and find solutions that can massively change. But the same technology can be exploited and can cause ethical issues on how that data is used. So I've lived both as a parent who understands the impact of it on a good way, but also as a corporate person who develops businesses for Internet of Things solutions which help cities to become smarter, massive levels of data and how that can be crunched and used. So I'll stop at that and talk about some of these in a bit.
Well, I mean, that's a fantastically inspiring story about your son, and it's amazing how technology can impact on an individual level. The challenge, obviously, in the city's context is making sure that all manner of abilities and disabilities are catered for in what is a very difficult environment. Is there enough thought being given to the issues that you've raised in the broader urban context, do you think?
Sadly, no. In a panel on cities, 10 years ago, there would be people from different streams on this panel. There would be urban planners, there would be transport specialists, there would be educationists talking about urban issues. Today, most panels on smart cities are dominated by technologists. That leaves out large sections of society who actually can benefit out of the discussion, out of the debate on what type of data is useful, what type of conclusions, what type of information would help become more inclusive society. Data at a very granular level, the ability of technology to assimilate that data, to store that data, to compute it, and combine multiple different sets of data is available today. What we do with it and who does that will shape what the future will look like. Will it become a corporate capture, or will it be a more inclusive society? That thought, I think, forums such as this is what brings to the table.
Well, let's bring in Andy Sim on this then. Inclusivity in the context that Kavita's outlined. And philanthropy and volunteerism is your business. Tell me about how digital world and urban development fit into that context.
Sure. I like us when we look at this whole aspect of smart city, to actually to think beyond smart city, beyond smart. Because in the years to come, we're all going to be smarter, because machine is going to make us smarter. You talk about the whole AI stuff and all this. We're all going to be smarter. But unfortunately, we're going to be less human. So it is important actually that when we look at this whole aspect of building livable city and smart city, is to look at actually the human aspect then of a city. So in the work that I do at the National Volunteer and Philanthropy Center, we try to actually look at using technology to create a more caring and inclusive society. And through giving, we believe that we will be able to change one's outlook and culture, and as a result, people would be able to care more for, others. How do we go about doing that? Is, we talk about the aspect of data, we've gone, about doing that about 2 years ago when we built a platform called the giving.sg. And in that platform when we started, it is to allow people to come together to just be able to give in whichever form. So it could be the giving of time, giving of money, giving of their talent. We've actually since expand that platform to allow now individuals who are perhaps group leaders to come forward and actually bring their supporters, to bring their network and members to come forward to mobilize them to give even more. Come this year, we will be actually open up this platform with open APIs to then let actually all our partners, like for example, earlier we heard about Our Village. Our Village has just signed an MOU with us. They will be actually one of our platform partners as well. So we will all then come together to then, be able to, through many different forms of giving, to let people actually come together, then to build that whole caring, inclusive society together. Because our belief is that if I look at actually our sector, the problem today is perhaps not the scarcity of resources, but it's rather the lack of deep collaboration that then results in a lot of fragmentation that then drives the silo. So through data, through technology, through platform, if we can all bring it together, then people who see that there is the need in certain area, where maybe there's an underserved in one area, they can come forward and actually provide their technology, provide programs and all that to tackle that.
We talk a lot about data these days, and the promise and the potential of data is extraordinary, but are we prioritizing data these days at the expense of practicality, at the expense of the infrastructural and construction issues that Kavita mentioned, do you think? I mean, should we not be having, making sure that the collaboration that you speak of happens on multiple levels?
Yes. Well, technology is actually one aspect. So, data that can definitely help us to actually create a more informed society where, we're able to actually come together. But I think the other aspect, that need to change, of course, is the people, our attitude, as well as the process that need to actually put this together. So we talk about safeguarding, privacy, all that has to be actually, taken into consideration. But I think there is no, I have no doubt that with data, we can create perhaps a more perfect world. It's like matching the demand and the supply together in a more perfect market situation, and data can actually help us to.
Okay, hopefully you'll give us a few specific examples of that during the course of the conversation. Damien, let me come to you. We'll be talking about impact investment in more detail a little later on in the day, but as a man in the financial world, tell me how you approach issues like this.
So we are investors. We invest in tech, big deep technology. But if you're talking about smart cities, let me give some analogy, right? What is an airport, for example? An airport is where you come and you take an aeroplane. And there are many airports that just do that. But then there are airports that when you go in, they treat you very well. You can get a massage, you can go to the hotel, you can take a shower, you can do your shopping, and no one is going to hassle you. Whereas in other airports, when you go, they said, get in the queue, get there, customs there, You want to find a toilet, it's very far away. So I'm sure you all have
always very far away.
Yeah, I'm sure you all have your own favorite airports and your least loved airports. And that's what smart cities should be. It's not just blocks of buildings. It's not just a concrete jungle. The smart cities of the future is actually what you want. What do you want in your city? You will get your wish because cities will have to win you over. They have to compete with each other to bring you in. Whether it's LA, whether it's Singapore, whether it's Tokyo. People can work from anywhere. Why should I go to Tokyo? Why should I go to LA? They have to win your hearts. And in order for them to win your hearts, they will be the dream. They will be made up of your dreams. There will be no cars. No one is going to hit you. You'll be monitored in real time. Before you fall sick, somebody will come and attend to you. There will be natural corridors where nature and humans interact without causing problems to each other. Right? You don't have to walk many places. The transport will take you right to where you are. Virtual transports. Right? You don't need big cars. You don't need 500 horsepower cars to carry one person. We used to ride on one horse. You only need a 1 horsepower carriage. These carriages can morph from seating 2 people to seating 5 people. Right? So that's what it should be. So from now to the time we reach there, can you imagine the kind of technology changes that we'll need to invest in? Right? So what does smart city look like is in your dreams.
Let me ask you, Damien, about mindsets, about the way people consider these issues. Now, you know, we have a room full of people here whose interest is in a philosophy, a lifestyle, a way of thinking. And the constant theme that I come across in panels about investment and finance and development, the constant theme is profit. And these are two different mindsets. How do you see a marrying up of the investment mindset, which says maximize profit, and the philanthropy mindset that says maximize benefit?
Well, you know, the two sometimes don't appear like they can mix. And indeed, there are a lot of movements that clash, that culture clash, right? So if you invest for profit or you invest for change, but sometimes they do merge, right? Sometimes where there's a lot of benefit and people will pay for that, but it's a delicate balance, right? And sometimes let's not worry about that. Let's look at the impact, and if you make the good impact, the money will come. So not to worry about that.
Fantastic. Well, we'll go into these issues more and more through the panels during the day. Now, if there is one other thing apart from data that people talk about consistently in this age of information and computing, it's robotics and artificial intelligence. The smart city of the future, we're all told, will consist of robots doing all the work, robots carrying us everywhere, and robots making us all unemployed, any number of things. Is it really as bad as they say? Is it really going to happen in that way? An expert here with us today is Tuk Bu. He's CEO and founder of Omni Labs, which addresses these issues. Tell us a little bit more.
It's very, very interesting. People have been talking about robots, right, taking over the world for a while, but still hasn't happened yet. So we do see a lot of robots in manufacturing, industrial robotics. But if you think about it, in our world, in everyday life, you don't see robots that much. And so have we asked the question why, right? So one of the hypotheses that we believe robotics in the consumer space still has a long way to go. First of all, because of the price point. Most of the robots out there are way too expensive, and the value that they deliver to the end consumer is way too little. And so we have robots like the Pepper, right? $20,000, in which mostly just entertainment. And so what we believe is that there must be a different way to develop these robots, with very, very specific targets in mind, which is to improve the quality of everyday life for the end consumer. And so some of the example is senior care. The world is getting aging very quickly, and we running out of kind of younger labor to have with the seniors. And we believe that robot is actually a fantastic solution for this. But we need to be very mindful about what are the features, what are the functionalities that we are building for the robot, so that it can provide this help for the seniors at a much lower cost. And kind of like on the other hand, right, we put out the question of why it hasn't happened that way. And we believe the root is actually in the innovation model. If you think about how robotics projects have been developed so far, it's very siloed. People don't cooperate. They have to develop the entire stack almost, and that's very costly. And so now we're putting out like a new model, which is we call it open innovation platform, in which allow people to collaborate, open up to the world, and protect the IP, but also help commercialize it. And so that's where the direction that we're heading towards.
You're not only
maybe I can add some things on robots.
Good. Let's give it a second, because I want all of you to start feeding back on each other's comments in just a moment. But let me just ask you a little bit more elaboration, if you would. You don't just do robotics; you do artificial intelligence, and this is kind of that combination that takes us into the next realm, because the sort of technology, incorporating technology into human life that Kavita spoke of earlier on is one thing. But when you're talking about robots in the sense that they are intelligent, independent actors in the context of our lives, that somehow causes people a little bit more confusion and a little bit more sense of fear. How do you get over that, Seth?
So I think it's the it has to be step by step, right? But the core is that robots, we need to understand that robots are not taking over the world anytime soon, but it's more like it's going to augment whatever the services that we provide to other people by using the robots. So this way, it's a little bit of an easier way to ramp up to having more autonomous. So it's going to be human working with robots side by side to help other people, in a sense.
Okay, well, Damien wants to ask you a question. We'll get to that in a second. I'm going to finish off our introductions here with Jan. I've left you for last because you're the academic in the group, and academics always take that big picture perspective. So feedback a little bit, Jan, on what you do and how you perceive this conversation and indeed the way it's being framed so far.
Yeah. So one of the things that business school professors are trying to do is to understand how businesses can create what you're talking about in a prosperous way, right? The idea here is not just to have dreams, but to make them concrete with business models that could work over time. And so, from a very critical perspective, I find the dreams amazing, but when we see in reality the coordination of businesses to create these dreams into reality is quite a tough story. You were mentioning before that typically companies are working in silos, right? So sometimes we have a problem of standards. And so to make companies agree on standards, it's also that they are agreeing also on giving up a little bit of their competitive advantages. And so eventually, when we look at inclusion and smart city and corporate responsibility and all sort of trends that now companies are trying to integrate, we need to find a way to integrate it inside their business model. So what I'm doing in my research at the moment is to try to figure out how actually you can elaborate more inclusion by not just looking at yourself to create value, because over the years, corporations have mainly looked inside themselves, how to use their resources to create a lot of value for themselves. And eventually, some of the value will spill over to other people. But now we see that a number of companies, especially in this region, they need to look outside the boundaries of their company, in their ecosystem, let's say, to remove a number of frictions that eventually is disabling the growth of certain ideas. And so when we talk about smart cities, to link it up to smart cities, my feeling is that there will be a lot of isolated initiatives. And that's what we see today. A lot of companies are creating technology for different purposes. But we have also something we call the digital divide. The digital divide is present across countries, right? Some countries have a better or worse, let's say, ICT infrastructure. But what we see, it exists also in cities and between people. So we're not equal when it comes to access to technology and also knowledge of how to use technology. And one of the problems when we talk about smart city and inclusion, if the technology is not convenient enough, it's not seamlessly integrated in our daily life, some people would be able to benefit from it, and some people won't. And so when you are talking about the dreams of smart city and how cities should serve yourself, it should not be limited to a specific type of individuals who have access to that technology. Today, how we see the developments, it seems to be unequal because there's a lack of coordination. So now the big question to reach a smart city is who is coordinating this? Is it a private company trying to integrate everything? Is it the government? Is it a public-private partnership to get there? What we see is that this new business model that I'm trying to explore with a number of large corporations, which is about ecosystem shaping. So the idea is to try to create value by creating links outside the company between a number of stakeholders which are driven by a purpose. So it's all about purposeful business model. So eventually, smart cities could be one. How do we make a city smarter together? And so one orchestrator or multiple who are coordinated around this purpose will try to identify pain points and address them by connecting people together to create value without having in the mindset that they would capture directly the value for themselves.
Can you put that in the context of a real-life application that we can relate to?
So one company which has been somehow a bit forced to do it, it's not publicity, I'm not working for them, but Grab, for example, started as a platform to, as a real-time matchmaker for people who would like to transport themselves in a different place, right? So you have a driver who is looking for a passenger and a passenger looking for a driver. So Grab has been focusing mainly on optimizing this matchmaking, right, in real time. What we see today is that in different contexts around ASEAN, that Grab has to solve a number of issues. So typically, one of the problems they have is in Vietnam, the drivers are making enough money just to go by the day. So eventually, the money they make during the day, they spend it the same day. The problem is the drivers, male drivers, who have families, they tend to use the money they earn directly for themselves. They maybe drink it, they gamble, they don't bring it back home. And so Grab, what they had to find, a solution for that to make it sustainable, because eventually families cannot sustain with this kind of issues. And so they made a partnership in a way that the wives would get the money of the driver, right? To manage the money, so that the husband will be driving and the wife will get the money, right? And so for Grab, it required a new thinking. It's not business as usual. They had to address a number of issues that were not linked directly to the business model, but eventually to make it more sustainable over time and to grow, they had to address issues that were very far from the periphery of their own platform. And that was actually in the families, and that's why they're creating the Grab University and Academy to train also the children of drivers to get education and those things. So it's about looking beyond just the boundary of the firm to solve problems in the ecosystem.
Fascinating. So a broad perspective of opinions and approaches here, folks, from our panel. What I want to do now is start to try and bring it together and get you guys to look at what each others have said and how your disciplines mesh with each other and where it goes. Damien, you wanted to get involved with what Tuk said.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so robotics and what our panel just mentioned. Robots are your friend, actually. Yeah, and you mentioned, so if you have a dementia patient, what she's going to be talking the same thing again and again, and humans can't take that. But you put a robot there and, talk to her or him about all the memories and repeat that and repeat that. They'll be very happy, right? So in senior care, Japan are fantastic at robots. They have these little robot dogs with eyes, and then they go like that, woo, woo, woo. And the kids love them. They love them more than real dogs because they don't poop on you, right? And they listen to you. They don't, they don't scratch your furniture and things like that. And as humans, we relate to things with eyes and nose and happiness, right? So we can relate to that. When we see that, we feel that it's real, right? So, in some places, in some countries, if you eat a fish, it's only just a meat. Because when you see the head, you can't eat it. Or, when you see a roasted animal and you see the head, I can't eat that. Yeah? But when you see the meat, okay, you can eat. So we humans, we react to faces. And so robots, if they have a face, sometimes you can't tell the difference between real people and robots.
What does that mean, Andy? Let me bring in. What does that mean in terms of community building and cities and urban environments?
Yeah. But before I answer that, I just like to actually touch on to the point about this aspect of can you make money and at the same time still actually perform social good.
Okay.
One of the example actually that we're actually right now working with is with Grab as well. We're working with Grab to design a mobility solution for the needy, for the elderly, as well as for the disabled. Because the way actually, when we actually started talking to Grab, they realized that, with the aging population, that the ridership for that group of people would go down if you don't address that solution. And then when they actually go to the driver, a lot of the driver doesn't want to actually pick up people with, that falls into this 3 category, because the time it takes actually for them to get onto the vehicle, it's actually going to be longer than the usual. So what we then did is actually in our discussion with Grab, then we brought the government in and said, since the government in Singapore also provide things of what they call travel assistance to these 3 groups of people, why not we link the data, of this government agency for those people who are receiving this help now, actually link that, and design that into the Grab application. So what it means is if someone who falls into this category, then ask for the Grab ride, they would then be able to say, they will get a subsidy, and then the government would then subsidize the driver to actually pick up that passenger. What that means actually for Grab is that now Grab can improve their ridership. So that's a profit, that they can look at. But at the same time, actually, we work then with Grab to actually solve a social issue. We're then actually looking at extending it further to look at now the driver who actually picks up that passenger can decide that, perhaps the subsidy that this person is getting is only 50%, but the ride maybe costs $8 and they get a $4 subsidy. I can actually contribute my other $1, $2, whatever it is, and add on to help the needy. So, in doing so, we are actually creating an inclusive solution that, profit both the organization, helps the government to actually solve the coming social challenges, and at the same time, actually, for individual to be able to contribute to the good cause. So this is actually the concept of bringing the 3 Ps together and just designing it, as a solution. So whether it's in the area of smart city using robots or all this, I think it's a question of actually how do we design solution that brings all these 3 elements together. So in my organization right now, for example, I'm actually hiring a lot of design thinking people, because it's about creating the solution first and not creating the technology. Because when we talk about things like even, when we look at smart city, the aspect of bringing actually the rest of the society in, we actually have another project that we are working on for the needy, where we use blockchain technology to actually allow people to look at donating to the needy, and then for the donor to be able to track how the money is being used. So that actually will take in a form of, and we team up with a supermarket in Singapore, the largest supermarket, and says, with that a QR code, they can actually then go actually to the supermarket, claim the food. And if the money is not being used for the intended purpose, it will be returned back to the donor. So this is actually how, as long as we can design all these different solutions, whether it's with robots, it's with the different technology, I think if we can design it to make it actually inclusive and sustainable, then the rest of the society actually...
It's a great example of how design can be used to create the kind of collaborative environments and solutions that we've been sort of touching upon. But further thoughts, folks? I mean, please join in.
So I totally agree that, to find like a sustainable solution, we need like a collaboration of many different sides. But also, I believe that we need to kind of change our mindset a little bit about, what are the priority for the problem and solutions as well, right? I believe that, to build a smart and sustainable city, we not only need the policymakers, the investors, the technologists, but also the consumer to kind of adopt the new technology. So, for example, for a long time, senior care is not sexy, right? Investor would not invest in that, even though it's very crucial for our future. And not that many technologies, not that many robotics companies actually working in this area. A lot of money go into, let's say, dating app, right? And we don't need another dating app. And so how do we prioritize this in people's minds so that, yes, it's not like a short-term profit. It's more like a long-term. But, we have to build a path to get there in a way.
I wanted to add, take some of the ideas that you talked about in terms of the ideal city, the ideal airport concept. Technology exists today to be able to make that happen. And I work for a company that does that. We can compute massive amounts of data, collect them, and combine data sets from different segments to be able to enable that choice today. What holds the development of this entire business or marketplace or value creation are existing systems, the way governments procure businesses, especially in context of cities. If you look at transportation, housing and buildings, energy, food and water, the way they distribute, the way they're procured, the way they are regulated and made available to citizens. Those systems currently, as soon as a new model is introduced, those systems take a knee-jerk reaction backwards. That has happened in the case of Ubers and the Grabs and others. How do you protect existing systems and jobs that they have worked well for the past? Those are the ones that hold things back. And unless, and the other part that holds things back is there's large groups of people who are involved in these decision-making, fear technology. You mentioned the fear of jobs being taken away. Even the basic fears of appearing stupid. I don't know how to deal with it, so the only way I can react to it is by saying, I don't need it. So there is a huge amount of education that goes into it to make sure that everybody is comfortable with the goods that it brings and is evolving a regulatory and safety mechanism and procurement mechanism that can deal with the bad and prevent market capture by a few corporations, which is the biggest fear right now. And so systems that support current marketplaces need to evolve to meet the needs of the technology and the future it can bring.
Yeah, so, if we look at the shorter term horizons, we have these issues to sort out. But if you look at 100 years ago, about 90% of the population was in poverty. Today it's 9%. So a lot of things have got a lot of better. Used to be mothers and children were working on the fields. What social responsibility has got to do with that? In the cities of the future, in the next 50 to 100 years, a lot of that will be taken care of. Energy will be almost free. Everybody will have a universal basic income. The work week will be work days. You work 2 days, 3 days, and you'll be paid for your data. The more sick you are, the more valuable you are because you have a lot of data, right? And when you have all these, then we don't have to worry about this, social responsibility thing, right? Everything will be integrated, right? So,
folks, I mean, we're almost out of time already, and we've only really just started. But can I just ask you to wrap up with each of you with some final thoughts on, we've talked individually from perspectives about small elements of what is incorporated into smart cities thinking. But let's talk about slightly the big picture. And Jan, I'll begin with you and just begin to address the issue of do we have in place the kind of mechanisms, the kind of mindsets, the kind of processes that allow the kind of public-private collaboration that Andy was talking about to deliver on the benefits that we know can come from better urban planning? Just consider what a smart city might look like and how we can begin to get there now rather than just talking about individual cases.
So I have the feeling that we are at the moment at a crossroad. More and more people are aware of the issues and would like to address them. So businesses are trying to reach out to governments. Governments are trying to reach out to businesses, which is a good thing to start with. Just we have the problem, and we're just discussing in the audience before, about the problem of language. Businesses, by definition, they need to generate profit to sustain. And eventually, if there's no profitability, there's no sustainability, and businesses cannot continue, right? On the government side, the problem is a bit different, right? They try to address needs in a different way. Maybe let's say, financial capital is a bit different in terms of the usage. And so eventually what we need to be able to do is to find the framework that would create this common language about how can we create more social capital and human capital together. And so for me, the drive for businesses has to come from business models that are developed in that spirit in mind. And so when you were talking about design thinking, I think it's the right way to approach the problem. technology, I've been teaching for more than 10 years now in a business school, and I was telling managers who will be the future leaders of big businesses eventually that technology as such is useless. It's the way you use it that will be beneficial, right? So we need to start thinking about the problems and how to address it, the pain points. So in design thinking, one of the big part is identifying the pain points and trying to address them, right? So in order to reach the dream that was explained, right? You need to identify what are the pains that prevent us to move to there, right? And so to me, I think the governments are working the right direction by involving businesses more and more in creating these solutions. But again, it has to become an understanding that businesses cannot just be working in a charity mode. It has to become something that they can generate profit, and that's what was well illustrated with Grab, I think.
And like I said, Andy, Grab was just one micro example. We need this to execute at macro scale. We need every party in this conversation to believe that collaboration is a key portion of the progress.
Yes. I think, you know, in order to drive collaboration, I believe that actually one of the very important things is actually look for common outcome that the parties can actually come together. Actually, a model that is kind of adopted these days, you know, for some of the tech company is the holacracy model. You know, where you actually get a group of people actually to come together to lay the foundation. So it's like three different layers. You have a foundation layer, a platform layer, and a project layer. You know, at a foundation layer, you know, this group of people would then come together to actually prioritize, you know, what are the common outcomes. And then based on these common outcomes sets the rules. Then you have actually the platform layer that then looks at actually all the different common services. So I think earlier when we talked a lot about building this smart city, you know, my ideal is actually it can be done if we start to actually design things around microservices. That means everything is actually built around services, you know, and then built it at the design it at a micro level so that you can actually then create situations where you can be highly highly aligned but loosely coupled, you know, because once you actually build them into microservices. Then the third layer is, you know, that they have is actually the project layer. Project layers then allows the different team that comes together to be able to do their own things, as long as they actually contribute to that common purpose. The key actually then to, you know, that whoever actually comes on board this whole ecosystem, you know, must then come together to contribute to the common purpose and not to represent the organization that they come from. I think that's the biggest mistake because, you know, even like, you know, in my role right now, I actually meet up sometimes with a different government ministry and all that. There's a tendency that whoever comes will always say, I represent my ministry. I represent this. That alone, that is actually already creating silos. So in order for us to actually build the collaboration, is actually to identify the common outcome and say, what's the benefit if we all actually achieve this common outcome? And then come together with an open mind.
Damien, your final thoughts, please. And just also, because you have such a long history in computing and technology, just wanted to address the issue, are we putting too much faith in technology? Do you think that the systems and the software and the processes are adequate to drive this kind of all-encompassing smart city, Internet of Things stuff that we're talking about?
So you have science, which is pure, and you have technology, which is applied. So, and technology is a compromise, all right? And the reason why it succeeds is because somebody buys it. If it doesn't succeed, nobody is going to buy it. But to talk about governments and privates, now, this is very important because when we talk about cities competing with each other, and not countries anymore, the problem is that governments are voted for 8 years, 4 years, and to build a smart city, you need something a bit longer. You need 25 years of planning. So the policy makers and the implementation is going to have a gap. Projects get cut off halfway, right? In the US, you elect Donald Trump, okay? And he's going to be there for 8 years. He's not going to think 25 years. He's going, what's in it for me now, right? So the smart cities, you need investments from governments for a vision that is going to be sustainable for a long time. That's very hard to do. Everybody wants profit now. And bear in mind, in the future, a city, a smart city, is not for everyone. Some people like the Bangkok style of smart city. Some people like the Singapore style. Some people like the Amsterdam style. All right? But there's no problem, because it takes you 1 hour to travel from one city to another in the future. In the future, with technology like vacuum trains, you can travel from here to New York in 4 hours. So I want to have fun here. I want to go there and have another kind of fun, right? So I think governments need to invest in long-term visions to make it sustainable.
But it's a great point. I mean, you know, some people think of a smart city as some kind of amazing technology coming in, and some people think of a smart city like Amsterdam, he mentioned, as somewhere that has green trees and places you can walk and interact with other people. There's very different visions. Tuk, your final thoughts.
Yeah, so I think I'm sharing the similar sentimental that, you know, I'm a big believer in technology. And, you know, if you think about like human or the economic activities, right, is evolving around scarce resource. And so if we can solve the scarcity problem, and I think we can solve a lot more other issues. And my belief is that the surest way to solve this is on technology. With the explosion of AI, robotics, blockchain, right? The speed of technology has been evolving very, very quickly. But this will allow us to increase productivity by 100, by 1,000-fold, and solving the scarcity issue, and then it kind of spread out, build like a more like a sustainable future for all of us. Yeah.
Fantastic. And Kavita, your final words.
Well, I believe that technology can achieve massive things in the hands of people with great imaginations and design thinking who can come together from different silos and different brands of thinking. And that cities are the infrastructure space that allows people from different walks to come together. Innovation happens when people who were not used to a certain way of thinking come together and meet with another person with another way of thinking. That's where innovation happens. And cities allow that space, cities create that space for massive technology geeks along with philanthropic organizations and others to create new worlds of doing business. That's the promise. The final thought I believe is that smart cities, because of technology, are today collaborating at a subnational level. You mentioned Donald Trump. Despite Donald Trump walking away from Paris Agreement, San Francisco and 380 cities in the USA are today upholding Paris. And they are committing to, California is committing to 100% renewable, much beyond Paris. That is enabled because of technology, allows people to come together. And that's the massive benefit of it.
That's a fascinating conversation all by itself. I mean, the city as the unit of governance as opposed to the national level.
National sovereign.
It's a conversation we will not, unfortunately, be able to have right now because we are completely out of time. But thank you so much. Please join me in thanking the panel, ladies and gentlemen, for a fascinating discussion across multiple different dimensions of the smart cities conversation, which is a very big conversation. But for now, thank you very much indeed. Let's stand up and take a photograph. Please. Thank you once again to our panel. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. So, our pre-lunch session moves into what I mentioned before, blockchain. I know there is a number of blockchain enthusiasts out there. I've met you guys already, and I count myself amongst that crowd. Let's consider how technology in this context might affect the way we look to the future. The general theme we're talking about is FinTech and blockchain for good, leveraging the promise of social inclusion. And our first speaker will consider the issue of humanity through new technology. You've already met him once. I want to invite him back onto the stage. One of our main sponsors, Kazuhiro Hisata, will give us a presentation first on this subject, and then we'll get into a conversation. Kazuhiro, please.
はい、皆さん、こんにちは。私の、お話は、 まず、ニューテクノロジーによる、人類の革命というところで、ちょっとお話をしてみたいと思います。今、全世界で、非常に、注目され、そして新しい技術が世の中を変えようとしています。で、その技術、今、どの国も、そしてまた、どの企業も今ね、注目していますブロックチェーンという技術、そしてこのブロックチェーン技術が、これからいろんなライフスタイルを変えたり、そしてもっといい、より良いサービスを作ったりという、一つの大きなきっかけ作りにね、今なろうとしています。で、今、この新しいテクノロジー、言いましたが、もともと今まで、人間はその時代その時代で知恵を出し、そしてまた技術を作り、そして物を作り、世の中をどんどん変えてきたのは間違いないことだと思います。で、その中でも素晴らしい、技術を用いて、生活を豊かにしてきた、時には車を作ったり、それからまた、電車や、そして飛行機や、そして時にはモバイルフォンや。で、そんな中で30年前に、ちょうど大きな革命となるテクノロジーを世の中に発表しました。これが皆さんよく知ってます、インフォメーションテクノロジー、いわゆるインターネットという技術を世の中に発表した。で、このインターネットによって全世界がインフラが整い、そして今生活が変わったというね、大きなきっかけとなったテクノロジーがあると思います。で、こういった新しいテクノロジーを世の中に発表し、そしてそれを活用することによって、皆さんの生活や物事がどんどん変わってきたのも現実です。で、今日その中でもう一つこれから時代を変えようとする、テクノロジー、それがブロックチェーンという位置づけになるんじゃないかなと私は思っています。で、まずこのブロックチェーン、まずきっかけとして、私もですね、まず、2012年に、このブロックチェーンを知りました。まずその知るきっかけとなったのが、まず2012年に、ビットコインとの出会いがありました。で、初めは私自身も、ビットコイン、これ何なのか意味が分からなかったです。別に形があるわけでなく、意味が分からないまま、これ何なんだろうとね、思いながらこのビットコインを触れてみました。そして興味を持ち、まず勉強もし、そういった中で、こういった、管理をしていく、そして、データの保存していくっていうところに、このブロックチェーンという素晴らしい技術があるということも知りました。で、このブロックチェーン、非常に、これからどの業界にも役立てていく素晴らしいシステムだということをね、知ったのがこの時でした。で、この当時から、新しく、グループ会社の一つに、SRS、FinTech コマースという会社を立ち上げ、そして今では、このブロックチェーンに関わる開発、それからまた運営、そして、FinTech に関わる、新しいですね、金融サービスのソフトウェアの開発、ボレット、ATM ソフト、そしてマーケティングといった事業を今取り組んでいるのが現実です。で、この新しい、サービスが生まれる中で、このブロックチェーンを用いて金融サービスに活用するところ、これが今よく話題となっていますファイナンシャルテクノロジーという金融サービスが、今、変わろうとしています。で、こういった部分にも非常に注目しながら、私も今毎日こう努力をしているんですが、ただもう一つは今初めてな技術とサービスですから、もっともっと勉強や知識を持つことが今大切なことだと私は思いました。今そこで、日本では、ビジネスチャンネルというアプリケーションの中で、動画配信のスクールの場を作ってね、定期的に、教育、いわゆるブロックチェーンってどういったものなのか、あるいは、こうファイナンシャルテクノロジーってどんなものなのか、あるいはどういったところで活用できるのかというね、そういった基本的なことを、勉強会なんかをやって、今では約3万人の登録者を持ち、そして運営をやっているのも今の現実です。で、またそういった中で、2018年、 東京で、フィンテックカンファレンスを開催しまして、この時に世界中の技術者等もね、参加して、勉強も行ったんですが、ここで、ヨナタンとの出会いも、私にもありました。で、今このブロックチェーンが注目していくというところで、ちょっと簡単に、このブロックチェーンって一体どんなものなのかっていうね、ところでちょっと特徴だけお話をしてみたいと思います。まずこのブロックチェーン、基本的に今まで、行ってたデータの保存や管理やセキュリティ、そういった部分をね、補っていく、基本ベースのシステムだということをね、認識してもらい、そしてこの運営については今までもともと中央政権と言われる考え方、運営の仕方が今まで世の中に、定着していました。でこの中央政権ではなく新しい考え方を持つ、管理下、これがですね今注目されている分散型で全ての物事を行っていくと、これが非常により安全で、素晴らしいじゃないかということを今ね、国も企業も認め始めたというのが一つのポイントだと思います。でこのブロックチェーン技術、さまざまな業界や企業さんがこれから活用し、またサービスをねより豊かに変えていくと思いますが、その中でも今最も注目するのがファイナンシャルテクノロジーというフィンテックです。基本の今の既存にある金融サービスの仕組み、この仕組みをもう一つ今度は分散型に変えていくっていうね、ここにまたより革命が起きているのも現実です。でこのフィンテックの中で今もう一つ新たな新しいものが発表されている、これがですね今注目されています暗号通貨という新しいお金がここに登場したということですね。でこのお金についてなんですが、最初は皆さん初めてこういったものを聞くと、意味がわからない人が当然だと思います。ただお金っていうのも今まで我々歴史の中ではその時代その時代で便利な形に変えてきたのも現実だと思うんですね。で当然物々交換の時代があれば石のお金っていう時代があったのもご存知の通り、そして、金の時代があれば、そして今は各国の国が発行する通貨、いわゆる貨幣を用いて全世界でいろんな国でお金を使っていると思います。ただここで、疑問に思うこと、そしてまた皆さんに、質問してみたいことがあります。お金の形はなぜ変えていくんでしょう。なぜその時代とともにお金の形を変えてきたんでしょう。これは便利にしたいっていうのが一つだと思うんですね。もっともっと便利にして、使い勝手のいいお金を作ってみたい、そういったところから皆さんがテクノロジーを作って変えてきたと、これも現実です。でじゃあですね、形を変えていくっていうことで、どんな形まで変えていくことができたら一番ベストな形にお金はなっていくんでしょう。これはお金っていうのはそもそも形がなくても存在するってことですね。いわゆる形はないけども価値があるものを作って、そして、どこに保管してどこに送って送金したというこの台帳の管理ができれば、これはおそらくお金としての必要性は出てくると思うんですね。要は今その時代を迎えたっていうのが簡単な話かもしれません。お金の形を消すところまで人間の力は今進んできたってことですね。ですから今全世界中で、使ってます電子マネーっていうものがあります。私が住んでます日本にもいろんな電子マネーを今活用しています。電車に乗るとき、あるいは、コンビニエンスストアで、パンを買うとき、いろんなところでチャージ式によって電子マネーを使って今生活がどんどん活用しています。世界中でもいろんなね各国で電子マネーっておそらく使っていると思いますが、要は形を消すところまで来ているっていうのが今現実だということですね。でその形を変えれるところまで来た現実の中で、今世界中でもう一つ新しい、簡単に言うとインターネット上に発行された 形のない電子マネー、これが、暗号通貨といった方が分かりやすいかもしれません。でただ今既存で使っているこの電子マネー、各国で使っている電子マネーと、この度新しく発表されているこの、暗号通貨、同じこう電子マネーというようなイメージがあるんですが、ちょっと違いがあります。今既存で、使ってます電子マネーというのは全て中央政権で発行されているもの、あるいはこう企業が発行して管理しているとか、そういった電子マネー、中央政権の発行しているような電子マネーが当たり前だと思います。そしてほぼ私が住んでいる日本ではチャージ式っていうのがね基本ベースで使ってます。5000円チャージすると5000円までが電車に乗って使えるという、こういった形の電子マネーが主流だと思います。ただ、もう一つ、今度は今注目される新しい暗号通貨というお金は、今度は分散型による発行したお金っていうのが特徴かもしれません。いわゆるインターネット上の国という国家に新しいお金を発行しました。そしてこのお金はどの国もどの企業もいわゆる発行権を持ちません。要はインターネットの国に参加されている皆さんがみんなで使ってみんなで管理しようと、そういった分散型の仕組みで行っていくような特徴があるのが、このね新しい暗号通貨の特徴かもしれないということですね。で、この新しいお金、非常にこれから活用の仕方によっては、こういったブロックチェーンとか、それからまたフィンテックの活用の仕方によっては素晴らしいサービスに変わっていくことはおそらく間違いないと思います。で、考え方まとめますと、今までのインフォメーションテクノロジー、いわゆるインターネットというテクノロジーは情報の革命っていうのが分かりやすいお話かもしれません。でもう一つ、今起きているブロックチェーン、これを用いた革命は価値の革命っていう位置づけかもしれません。要はそういった考えの中で新しいこれから世の中を作るきっかけとなるこういったテクノロジーが、今ね、注目されているというのがこの分野だと思います。で、まずその中で、次にこのフィンテック、ね、ファイナンシャルテクノロジーという新しい金融サービスを技術を使うことによって、どういう、ねメリットが出てくるのかというちょっと参考になるちょっとお話しします。当然ですね、この新しい金融サービスを活用するとうまくね、便利になっていくと言いました。まず一つ目は、今もちろん私が住んでいる日本という国は非常に幸せで、すべて物も揃い、そして幸せな国っていうのは自分でも実感しています。ただ世の中にはですね、まず銀行すらない、銀行の口座さえ持てない、そしてまた ATM なんかもないっていうようなエリアに住んでいる方も非常にこの地球上にはいるということですね。で、今銀行の通帳を持たない約20億人から30億人の方々がこれからこのフィンテックというテクノロジーは便利だなということで使い始める可能性は大きいです。もちろん我々はね、日本に住んでいる方はもうどこにいても ATM が存在したり、銀行の窓口もたくさんあったりって、非常にこういった生活不便ということはありません。ただ世の中にはそういった不便な地域や、そして、なかなかそういう銀行さえも使えないというような方々も世の中に存在しているということですね。そういった方々がモバイルフォン、いわゆる携帯電話で、こういったサービスが使い始めるということは非常にこういった方々にとっては、便利な、一つサービスにきっかけとして、なっていくというところが一つね、ポイントになると思います。で、もう一つは、いわゆる海外送金ですね。海外に送金する、これにあたり、当然ですね、先ほど言ったように銀行がないとか、そういった地域の方は当然海外送金なんかできません。で、また、今の既存の海外送金となると、日にちが数日間かかったり、それからまた、休日はなかなか着金しなかったり、そして小さなお金、いわゆる100円、500円、1000円、こんな小さなお金は海外の送金って不可能ですよね。で、そういった部分で、まず活用する、 小さなお金でも、海外にも送ることができたり、それからまたタイムラグ、要は時間をあまりかけなかったり、休日、平日もクリアされたりと、そういった部分では少しね、こういった特徴で使っていくのも特徴の一つかもしれません。じゃあもう一つね、お話を挙げてみると、世の中にあるやはり寄付とかですね、そういったものに活用できるのは非常にメリットがあるんじゃないかなと私も思います。当然、困ったような方々、それからまた助けを求めているような方々、時には私が住んでいるこの日本には、非常にもうほぼ、毎日のように地震が起きたり、します。それによって大きな災害、この度もですね、今北海道で大地震が起きています。その前は、仙台で大地震が起きてみたり、そして、今年は、洪水による、ね、台風、ハリケーンによって、災害を被ったり、そういった、結構そういう災害での被害が日本は多発します。でそういった中でも非常にですね、寄付とかそういった活動は非常に度重なるように行っていくんですが、そういった寄付等でもですね、この暗号通貨を使ったり、そしてブロックチェーンを活用することによってスムーズにダイレクトにまたそういった支援もできるという可能性なんかも秘めてくると思います。今日ね、この会場を主催されています、Horyou というサービス、このプラットフォームも非常にソーシャルの中では画期的なソーシャルとして、そしてまた社会貢献を行ったり、人助けを行ったり、そしてそういった情報交換の場としては素晴らしいこういったプラットフォームだと思います。ただこの中にもですね、やはりそういった全世界での情報を速やかにキャッチして、そして、皆さんの中で心ある人が100円でも200円でも少しでも寄付してみようと、こんな気になるとね、こういったHoryouの中でもこういうブロックチェーンやそういったトークンを活用することによって寄付もダイレクトにスムーズに、支援できたり、人助けの一つきっかけになるのが、こういったテーマじゃないかなというのは私なりに思います。でそういったさまざまな活用の方法、仕方で、変わっていくと思いますが、ここには非常に新しいテクノロジーと、そしてまた、新しいマーケットが誕生します。当然、そこには大きなビッグチャンスも備えてくるのも間違いありません。で私も投資家、そしてまた起業家の一人としてやはりここに注目し、大きなこれまでの実績や経験をしたこと、今行っていること、ちょっとね、皆さんに参考にお話したいと思います。まず一つ目、この、ファイナンシャルテクノロジーの中で非常にやはり注目するのは、やはり、暗号通貨という、ね、このお金、これは新しいお金ですから、まだまだ世に普及する前、そしてまた皆さんがまだまだこれから使っていく前、こういったところで大きなチャンスは備わってきます。これを世間では、ICO というイニシャルコインオファーといいますが、今、インターネット上に発行されたこの暗号通貨は取引所での取引されている銘柄は約1500近くあると言われています。でただこの中でもやはり、注目をされ、そして本当に社会の中で、必要性を持った技術開発、そういったものを成してきたこういった暗号通貨がやはりこれから生き延びていくというのは当然だと思います。でその中でちょうど2016年にですね、私が関わり、そして日本で ICO をかけ、大きなビッグチャンスをつかんだというね、一つ、暗号通貨の ICO がありました。これは今もう世界的に注目されています。これ ADA というね、暗号通貨、カルダのプラットフォームということで、開発チームも、IOHK という非常に優れた、エンジニア等を、使っての開発が行っています。で、この ADA、非常にですね、日本で、まずこの ICO をかけ、そして数多くの皆さんに、チャンスを与え、そしてなんと、これが、2017年の10月の2日になりました。取引所への上場を果たし、そしてなんとこの半年間足らずの間に、なんと価値も700倍まで高騰したという、これは現実です。 で、そういったところでですね、大きな、ね、チャンスを秘めていくっていうのも、間違いはないと思います。ただ、そういったチャンスもすべてではありません。やはり本当に必要性のあるもの、そしてまた将来つながっていくもののそういった暗号通貨をしっかりと捉えて、そういったチャンスにね、変えていければ大きな魅力はあると思います。で、この体のには、非常にもうプラットフォームの特徴や開発の特徴などは、インターネット上にすべて掲載されてますから、興味のある方はね、しっかりちょっと見てみてください。で、もう一つは今度は、こういったテクノロジーを用いて、努力をしている企業への投資ということで、今日ここシンガポールですからアジア圏のね、一つ、企業をちょっと紹介してみたいと思います。今インドネシアで、今注目されていますエミニという会社があります。こちらはですね、インドネシアの大手銀行4社の ATM、 これを約2万台インドネシアの機械を、運営管理を行っている企業として知られています。そしてもう一つは、政府の、ソフトウェアの開発なんかもね、決済機能とかそういったところの開発も行っている有名な企業になりましたが、この企業にですね、私も投資家の一人として出資も行い、そしてこのプロジェクトを支援して、企業を応援しています。で、ここでは、今後ですね、既存の銀行の ATM、このサービスとこれから新たなフィンテックのそういった ATM のソフトウェアなんかのコラボレーション、そしてまたインフラを整えていく事業などにこれから数年で着手し、成長を遂げていく一つ企業の方としては、こちらね、今私の方が力を入れている部分でもあります。で、そういった部分で、新しいテクノロジーですから、未知の世界です。で、これはまだ未来に進んでいく中では未知ですから、非常にやるべきことや課題もたくさんまだまだ残されています。で、そこでこれからですね、必ずポイントになることは、やはり新しいものが生まれるっていう素晴らしいものがあるんですが、もともと既存にあるサービス、この良いところと、それからまたこれから新しく生まれたサービスのいいところ、これをですね、冷静に分析して、そしてまたお互いが切磋琢磨、要は理解し合いながら、よりいいところを組み合わせたサービスを構築していく努力、努力がこれから我々の生活をもっともっとよく変えていくサービスに変わっていくポイントじゃないかなと私なりに思っています。で、こういったサービス、本当に初めて聞くような内容とかそういうことが今当然非常識な今時代だと思います。ただこの非常識を常識に変えるのはやはり我々のね、取り組み、それからまた、10年先、20年先にはインターネットが世の中を変えたように、おそらくこういったテクノロジーが当たり前の生活に入ってくる、これは間違いない、内容じゃないかなと私は思います。私のね、内容的には今日は時間の限りこの内容に触れましたが、ぜひ皆さんもね、少し興味を持ったところで勉強をまずし、確かな知識を持ちながらこういったね、ところを学んでみたら素晴らしいものに変わると思います。私のお話は以上となります。ありがとうございました。
Kazuhiro, thank you, as always, covering an enormous amount of ground from the concept behind different kinds of money to how blockchain can answer some of those questions and how it fits into politics and government, and then how we can deploy some of this technology in ways that will further social good, which is what we're here for. A lot of ground covered there, and we'll dig into that a little bit more with the panel in just a moment. But let's just, before we get to that panel, let's talk a little bit about a specific use case in which we can employ some of what Kazuhiro was talking about in a way that does push forward the idea of social good. I mean, I'm not entirely sure whether how much of that stuff was new to people or how much people were involved in. So the sort of the benchmark question, let me just ask the audience, who does own a cryptocurrency or has owned a cryptocurrency here? Okay, so we've got a fair amount of expertise, but also a little bit of, I guess, a few newcomers. But look, let's put this into a slightly different context. Here's a case in which one can actually look at how this sort of technology can be deployed in a way that makes sense in the context of changing social good. You know about Oryu, you know hopefully about the Oryu token, where Jonathan has debuted fairly recently. Let's talk about how these technologies come together in making change and making differences in people's lives. Jonathan will now come up and give us a quick run-through of what the Oryu token can do. Jonathan, please join me on the stage, and then we'll talk a little bit more about some of the other subjects as well. Jonathan, please.
Blockchain is one of the latest revolutionary technologies. It's taken industries by storm and shown a new way of embracing technology with the most advanced concepts of decentralization, inclusion, and participation. Blockchain technology holds great promise. However, up until now, a plethora of interests has flooded blockchain platforms and projects with speculative strategies, driven by greed and speculation rather than vision and passion. At a time when society is facing worldwide challenges, including those mentioned within the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, we believe in technological advancements that create a fairer, more inclusive, and more sustainable world. So, how can blockchain be at the service of social good? At Oryu, we believe in blockchain supporting decentralization and bringing social good everywhere in the world. We call it blockchain with a purpose. We're introducing Oryu Token, our utility token built on top of Ethereum blockchain to fuel the virtuous circle of Oryu interactions. Oryu Token makes it possible for anyone to participate in social good by providing access to a traceable and intelligent philanthropic redistribution service called Proof of Impact. The Oryu tokens can be used to reward Oryu community members from all continents for sharing their positive news and actions on the Oryu platform, to buy spotlights or support directly the social good actions and causes on the Oryu platform or beyond, benefiting from the disruptive tagging and traceability leveraging blockchain, as a mode of transaction outside the Oryu platform, in any platform or FinTech payment solution intended to support philanthropy by Proof of Impact, or to buy, sell or subscribe products, services and soft commodities, enhancing social good within the future Oryu marketplace. If you want to contribute to Oryu's development and be part of this positive change, join our token generation event on June the 18th.
Hello, everyone. We had, different people already starting to share their views, and what we feel about their thoughts and insight is about there is hope, really. There is innovation, creativity, there is talent, there is diversity. So all those ingredients are a highway to find a way for us as a species to make it happen, to make the change happen. The change versus what? The change versus a trajectory where we know if we don't change some elements, we are going to face major challenges. Versus the climate, versus the social gaps, versus the global warming, versus the forced potential immigration that might, shape completely the aspect of population that are forced to move to survive. The rising of the seas and the oceans. The potential pandemia that can be developed as well. So all of those things are not like a bad movie, but they are realities. And those realities, we have the talent to solve all of that. But one thing that is constantly there is we have talent, but those talents are disseminated around the world. How can we find them? How can we connect to them? And how can we support them? Because supporting them is supporting ourselves. Making them find the way to get the funding to develop their project would create jobs, but more importantly, would create the ecosystem and the perennity of the ecosystem that will be supporting all life for everyone. So that's where technology used in a way which is serving visionary aspect of inclusion can make a huge difference. And that's where blockchains is really like a, I would say, a magic wand. When I started Oryu 6 years ago, it was a dream, it was an ideal, it was very difficult. The vision is very pure, but to make that vision empirical, to reach the point where we are all together in that room, it's almost, you know, like a mountain impossible to climb. You can only do it if you are so humble and so grateful and lucky to meet amazing people that are change makers. Those people are going, you know, to give you the energy to continue. Why is it so difficult? It is so difficult for entrepreneurs that have great ideas because the funding is very challenging to get. And so you have to spend so many hours traveling the world, so many meetings, so many things to do to be able to get the funding to make the next 3 months for your team, the next 1 month, the months that will pay what is not paid. So this is something which is all entrepreneurs are facing on a daily basis. We have to change the paradigm in that aspect. Those people are the ones that are the priority for us to support because they are the priority to find the solutions for tomorrow. They are the ones that are building the world we're going to live into, ourselves and our children. So we should be, as investors, as funders, as partners, we should be the one to look for them and support them. This is going to happen one way or the other. But where blockchain comes about, it can make it seamless, it can be making it effortless, it can make it transparent, it can make it sustainable, it can make it decentralized, it can make it inclusive. That's why I designed Oryu token. Oryu token did not appear because blockchain is interesting and is getting, you know, like capital in a more fastest way than normal traditional capital. We developed Oryu token because that was the last pieces of the puzzle of the Oryu constellation of activities. We developed a social network to connect people all over the world because inspiration has to be shared. And as well, we have so much to learn one from each other. We have that platform. At the same time, we have to live and experiment inspiration in the real world. So we have documentaries. We have the SIGEF. We have many initiatives that connect people in the real life. And then we have the talents. We have the entrepreneurs of that ecosystem. We are capable now with the light system to make them visible. So the last species is about making them benefiting from financing and funding. Making the social good doers, the people that have the solution for their local communities, have the means to develop them, expand them, transform them into something that will become projects, vehicles, corporations, companies, startups, and making those entities sustainable. So that's about making a universal way of disrupting philanthropy and funding, leveraging blockchain for good. We call it blockchain with a purpose. That's the Oryu token. That's what I call the proof of impact. On every transaction you will be doing with Oryu token, from 0.01 to 0.1% will be directly transferred to the cause that you want to support. Not only to NGO, but down to the granularity of individual citizens. That's unbelievable. It's like from here, we will be able, to support someone in the middle of the wild forest on continents that we never have visited, but our heart is connected to. So what I want to share with you, it's a vision. It's a vision where everyone, on a daily basis, on their daily transactions, on their daily activities, we are going to be a force for good. On every transaction we will make, we are going to be able to share inspiration, to be agents for changemakers, to support them. But by doing that, the traceability, thanks to the blockchain, will make the connections. It's not like you just channel funding. No, you become a partner. You become a partner for change. So then this is creating real links between people. People are going, in their own business model to understand that when you have a company, your responsibility is as well to give back. When you have a success, a personal success, as a high net worth, your responsibility is to give back. When you are in a position of strength or power in government or other administration, your responsibility is to give back. Because giving back makes it a cycle. And the cycle will make it an inspiration. It will grow, it will be inclusive, it will bring new talents, it will bring new minds, new creativity, new solutions. And at a time where our population continue to expand, we have to walk that way. So my message today, it's happening now. One step toward each other. One step to leverage technology and put our heart and passion to use technology with a meaning and a vision. As long as your eyes are looking at the skies, as long as your heart is feeling for each other empathy, your vision will be noble. And that vision will be the fuel, the water for making you carry out the message and make that message universal. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
Jonathan, thank you. Please don't leave the stage.
Yes.
We're going to have a talk a little bit more about everything Jonathan has just said. There is so much about this technology that is potentially transformative, that is potentially groundbreaking, that is potentially change-making and impactful. And the Oryu token is one expression and one example of how that might happen. But there is, as I said earlier on, so much more to this whole thing. So we're going to just spend a short while unpacking some of the issues around everything Jonathan has said and everything Kazu also said. So let's get our next panel up on stage and start talking about some of these issues that are involved in this. I'd like to invite onto our stage Kazuhiro Hisata, who you know has been already speaking to us, to talk a little bit more about this. Karen New is a Singapore-based author and ICO advisor and a speaker. Please join us, Karen. And I hope you're all bringing your translation mechanism. Yeah, fantastic. Kenneth Bock. Ken is one of the local leaders in this whole decentralization conversation and a part of the Oryu setup. And Chansik An is joining us from Korea. You're a lawyer principally, but an advisor in multiple different disciplines and areas. So multiple different perspectives. Now, I don't even know where to begin this conversation because there are so many aspects to all of this. Let me begin with you, Karen. I mean, as one tries to translate some of this stuff to the broader audience and tries to bring in ideas like the Oryu token into mass acceptance and utility, tell us how you bridge the gap. How can we bridge the gap? You've addressed this in some of your work. How can we bridge the gap between inclusivity of these ideas and the technology that exists?
Okay, for me, the good thing is because I've been running software development company, and my job is to explain difficult technologies to marketing people who do not understand technology. So when I discovered the blockchain, it was a natural thing for me to put it in very layman terms for them to understand what the cryptocurrency is. But because the initial, to invest in it takes a little bit of technical understanding, like the different wallets and things like that. So what I do is I try to put pictures and diagrams to provide illustrations to how to do it easily in a step-by-step guide. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit what it means. I mean, just everything that we've spoken about this far, about employing this technology to make a difference, to change the world. Jonathan's given us one use case. Kazu mentioned a couple of other use cases. But from your perspective, is this a conversation that is ready to be launched into the general public?
Okay, right now there's an influx of projects out there, over 2,000. The numbers range from 2,000 to 5,000 ICOs around the world. It means different ways of using the blockchain for different purposes and different natures. For example, just by talking about finance alone, right? You have cryptocurrencies that focus on purely for public financing, or purely for trade financing, or purely for a good cause like your Horyou token. So when that happens, right, all of us it's in the infancy stage. We are all trying, and eventually it will take a few years to see which one receives mass adoption, and then I think that will be the prevailing one that will be useful. It's just like the dot-com days when we wouldn't know who is the future Google or Facebook. So the same thing is happening in the blockchain world.
Kazu mentioned in his talk the idea of decentralization, centralization and decentralization, and control. And the issue of control of money is one of the core components of this whole blockchain revolution. I don't know if you noticed last night, the head of the European Commission, Jean-Claude Juncker, brought up again the concerns that are now really becoming international about how the dollar's dominance in how we do business across the world is really beginning to cause problems, particularly in the context of this new administration. But Ken, let me come to you, because Ken runs a conference in Singapore called Decentralize. And the whole idea of centralization and democratization of control of things like currency is part of your agenda. Just explain a little bit more what this conversation is about.
Yeah, thank you. So I think it's important to talk about money, obviously, and how the role of money is changing with the blockchain. So, it is obviously a very complex question about who issues money and who should get the rights to issue money. But I think I can comment from a technological point of view, is that with the advent of things like Bitcoin and Ethereum, you have a type of money that is now integrated into the digital landscape. So you have a type of money that's programmatic, right? So it can function with code in its native environment, right? So you have very different mechanisms that take place now with things like machine-to-machine interactions. You can create mini economies, and it's integrated into the fourth industrial revolution, as it were, right? With robotics, with AI, with IoT, and things like that. So I think it's up to governments to get to that point, you see, because now that technology is in private hands, but how do we think about fiat money being smart, right? How do we have fiat smart money?
Well, look, we spoke in the first panel about urban development, about the smart cities future, and one of the themes that came through very strongly was that when you're talking about the future of humanity, it's in an urban context mostly, and that urban context requires control, requires planning. How can we talk about that in the same breath as saying we want to decentralize and democratize decision making?
Yes, this is.
Don't want to put you on the spot, right?
It's a good question. You know, certainly it's about synthesis, right? It's not that decentralization is going to solve all of the world's problems, but certainly it has a very large part to play in sort of allowing local communities, at least from my point of view. I'm a big fan of Small is Beautiful, this book, by Schumacher, E.F. Schumacher. He's an economist who's very influenced by ecological ideas. And so I used to be a trader for Goldman Sachs, right? And in that position where I was in sort of these high towers of finance, you have a kind of reality that's very disconnected from the ground, right? And I think that is somewhat true to say for how the world economy currently works. You have central bankers who are, sitting and watching screens of numbers, and the economy to them is a bunch of numbers. But that's not, really how the world functions. The world functions based on communities and how people come together from the ground up. So I think, with things like the blockchain and with more data being used on the ground level, there is the ability for decision making to be made on the ground. It's not just about finance. Blockchain is about information, and it's about how data is being managed from the device point of view, right? So I think there is a real opportunity for centralization and decentralization to meet, and that is true where we will really find the solutions.
And certainly the inclusivity point that you made is well made. I mean, the ability to get smaller communities and individuals and ideas into that mainstream decision-making process is absolutely essential. But let me just dwell for a moment longer on the centralization process, particularly when it comes to money. Sigan, I'll ask you this. The global financial system that we have devised is not simply the product of a desire for elite control. It's actually functional in the sense that it allows us to do a lot of things we might not have otherwise had. And the legal systems that we've imposed around how we do this are there for a large purpose. So again, within the legal environment and the context of how we have organized our business practice globally, how do we then start changing this stuff around in a way that benefits from the kind of thinking that we're talking about here, but doesn't lose the benefits that we've already created?
I think that sometimes law promotes technology, but sometimes, on some other times, law prohibit technology development. In Korea, I think that the big problem is that there are over-regulation by the government. I mean, Korea adopts positive regulatory system as compared to negative regulatory system in other countries. By positive regulatory system, I mean that if you try to do something new, there must be some law that authorizes that business, that new business. If there's no law authorizing that business, in Korea, it's basically illegal. So it's against entrepreneurship, and it sometimes inhibits the development of technologies. Because in the technology world, you should be able to try new ideas in various ways. Sometimes in conflict with the existing law, and in that point, the law is very, very important. Korea, because they adopt positive system, they would need law. They have enacted law to do something new. So it is sometimes against the spirit of entrepreneurship, and that's a part of the problem, and that happens in many, many new technologies like drones and games and sharing economy and also cryptocurrencies as well. So I think that the problem is the issue we should think about is how they reconcile with the law and technology in a compromising way, or sometimes beneficial to each other with the law and technology, promotion and the protection of the general public. That's a kind of conflicting interest. Sometimes the solving that problem is quite challenging and requires a lot of consensus and then study and then probably examination of the use cases around the world. So it's a time-consuming procedure, but we have to do that anyway.
Kazu, you spoke about the implications of this technology in humanity, in giving, in changing the way we interact. Can you give a couple more examples of how you think, what the long-term vision of how this might make change? Oryu is one of them. That's one example. But tell me where else we can see this happening, and how much hope do you have that this will radically change our experience?
やっぱしさまざまなこれから新しい、テクノロジーサービスですから、先ほどもお話した通り、やはり、基本的にまずは、今のサービスのいいところ、そしてまたこれから新しいところのサービスをまずは認め合って向き合い続けて、そしてまたそこに改善策を真剣に取り組んでいくことが、一つのきっかけにタイミングになると思うというのは僕も思います。でただ、使い方によっては先ほど言ったようにいろんなさまざまな活用方法、このHoryouみたいなサービスの中で、トークを発行し、そしてブロックチェーンを活用し、役に立てれる、ものに変えていく使い方もあれば、マーケットの中でただの金融としてお金として、見ていく部分では当然先ほど言ったように、海外送金が便利な部分で使ってみたり、それからまた決済、なんかで使ってみたりで、ただ、そういった可能性は、秘めてるんですが、今は特にこの暗号通貨の世界は、投資的に捉えた現状が多すぎるという問題点が今あります。要は本当に先ほど言ったように数百倍つけて、高騰するようなものが当然存在するわけで、それをめがけて一般投資家の方々が、儲かるだけで参入して、暗号通貨を触り始める。でその中では非常に危険性も秘めている中で触っている部分が問題点が今は、出てきているのも現実、ですから、もう少ししっかり時間をかけながら、本当の必要性、使い道というものをもっとユーザー、クライアントがしっかりですね認識して使っていくまでには時間がかかる、それまでにはいろんなトラブルやいろんな問題点が多分おそらく出てくるのは間違いないと思います。ですからやっぱり今必要なのは、しっかり理解して、しっかり必要性を見極めながらどういうものなのかというものを使っていくことが、非常に、必要じゃないかなと。で暗号通貨でもいろんな種類がありますが、一番取引の大きいビットコインというものがあります。ただこのお金に関しては、将来的には、お金の位置づけとしては、必要性は今後なくなってくるんじゃないかなと。要は資産みたいなゴールド、いわゆるインターネット上の金みたいな位置づけの価値を持つお金に代わり、今新しく開発されている ICO で出てきているような、暗号通貨、これが本当の必要性に生活に定着していく、時代を迎えてくるなと、私なり、思います。
I mean, you raise an interesting issue there, and you talked about speculation, and really the elephant in the room of this whole blockchain conversation at this point in time is the fact that so much of the conversation and so much of the activity is dominated by speculative behavior and is dominated by people wanting to make a quick buck rather than make a real difference. So I just want to throw this open to the floor. What can we do about that? Is there anything that we can do about that? Is it even worth addressing that? Tell me what you think about the problem of speculation and how we can start addressing the real value of blockchain rather than getting sidetracked into conversations about investment. Anyone?
Maybe I can. Hello. So, I think first of all, I think it's amazing that most people in the world today know what Bitcoin is, and a large part of that is due to this speculation. And that...
Again, the speculation's a good thing in some senses.
It is. I mean, well, it's neither good nor bad. It's human nature.
At least
right?
it inspires the imagination in some way.
Well, it certainly accelerates an idea to the forefront, right? That probably would never have happened if government regulation would come in, right? But I certainly agree with you that it will. Well, first of all, it's like any other technology, right? We have serious engineers who are working on issues. It will take several years for things to roll out with current government regulations and with software development, and for the blockchain to really integrate into our current financial system, which I believe it will, right? But on the speculation side, clearly we need a lot more regulation around ICOs and token launches and things like that. As soon as we have standards where these things can be talked about in the same vein as equities and bonds, then we will have a more robust investment environment for these things.
We have after lunch a very engaging presentation, and you'll see it later on, about around this very idea of how can we onboard the general public onto the idea of engagement in the blockchain space. And I'll tell you more about that after lunch. But in the meantime, let me ask you guys, again, how can we bring this into a mainstream conversation? Karen, if you
I think regulation definitely will come in, for sure. We can see that in like Thailand, Philippines, Singapore, we are all putting regulations into place. And on top of that, right now, more and more people are building more ecosystem for security tokens to be securities to be tokenized. So assets like buildings and things like that, which liquidity is difficult in the past, can now be actually be involved with much more people who wasn't part of the ecosystem. So I guess with more tools, platforms, and regulations, right, the whole market will be more stable in a way. Yeah, I think we have gone through the speculation peaks and bottoms for a few rounds in the Bitcoin already, and I do see that with actual asset-backed tokens, the market will be more stabilized.
I think that regulation is important, but regulation is not all. In Korea, I think that there are a lot of speculation in cryptocurrency, including Bitcoin and Ethereum. And there's a term referring to that. It's Korea premium or kimchi premium, right? In Korea, every cryptocurrency has 20% more value than other cryptocurrencies, I mean, in the cryptocurrencies in other countries. The part of the reason is that in Korea, real estate price skyrocketing every day. Even though the new president, the new administration trying to curb the prices of real estate in Korea, I mean, that cannot be stopped. And then the young people are looking at the investment items, right? They just give up on the investment in real estate because it's very, very high. But in cryptocurrency, using small amount of money, you can make it big if you are lucky. So it's a part of the reason is that the Korean people has kind of FOMO phenomenon, fear of missing out, some kind of that. So they invest in certain cryptocurrency because other people do that, right? So regulations are basically required, but I think that good regulation would be in order because Korean government is trying to regulate ICOs and investment in cryptocurrency, but there's no clear guideline, there's no clear law. They just said they prohibit all kinds of ICOs in Korea. So what happens is that all the ICOs actually undertaken by the Korean company, not in Korea, but in overseas company. So there's no clear guideline, and investor cannot aware of the regulation or relevant laws in other country, right? So it increased the problem. They just make investment without knowing their investment, what kind of implications there are. So that's make things worse. So I think that the regulation is definitely required, but good regulation, clear guideline should be necessary. And on the other hand, I don't think that business should just depending on the regulation by the government. They have to do their own job. They have to come up with their self-regulation organization, self-regulation guidelines and rules, come up with the best practices of their own. So they try to persuade the government and then the general public about the beauty of the cryptocurrency, not just depending on the regulation by the government. That's what I needed. That's what I think is needed at this point of time.
Well, if I may join on that, I would just say that we are completely, like seeing a completely shift of interest from the new generation, who is now looking at the Dow Jones. What we are looking at is what the Bitcoin price is about. And when you look at the Bloomberg and CNBC and all those major, mainstream financial news channel, what they speak about on a daily basis is about the Bitcoin. So I must say that is the first reality. It's like it's starting to be, streamlined on a daily basis that this is going to be a commodity. If they don't mention it now, it is, by fact, on the TV. So that's the first reality. Aspect is completely new for so many people that are part of experienced investors.
But in a way, that's sort of the point I'm making, is that what we do see on the mainstream TV stations is usually framed in terms of investment. It's usually framed in terms of making profit and selling new product. Whereas what we're trying to do is imagine and implement ways in which we can leverage this technology into doing something more meaningful. Do you think that the coverage that we're getting is actually valuable, or is it distracting us?
Well, you have, something which is key, which is called the mainstream adoption of the technology. So as long as the technology of blockchain and cryptocurrency, which is like the vehicle that connects about that aspect, is not empirical proof or empirical business case that it brings concrete positive impact, then we are going to be on the channels and on the ups and downs of the trades and transactions, which translates into the perception of speculation. But what you have to understand, it's really having some usage in people's daily lives. And that's why we see the ups and downs, and now the downs for the last, 6-7 months. And we see some alternate altcoins that we call alt versus the Bitcoin that have reached level below their ICO level. And people are, don't understand that. But it's very simple to explain. As long as a cryptocurrency has not shown its concrete usage for society, the value of it is the perception of that potential mainstream adoption. But you have, within the 1,500 cryptocurrency that exist now, the question is how many of them have the potential of mainstream adoption? And when you do your research, you understand that actually that ecosystem will of course be decreased. Not in value because more projects are coming out, but a number is like the selection will be done based on the real potential, and at some point from the potential to the real execution. And that's why you need to check about the team, you need to check about the concrete making sense of the project. Blockchain is not going to solve anything if there is not a real project and a real application and a real team and a real adoption. If you don't have all those pieces, you're going to have a speculation and then something that will disappear.
Karen, the reality, though, is that, Jonathan mentions you've got to look at things like the team and the use case that's being posited. But for the average consumer, it's very hard to divine from these white papers that come out the value proposition that's being presented. I mean, are there any sources out there? Are there any avenues whereby people can actually begin to make informed judgments on the value of each thing?
Based on my experience, right, of course we'll try to choose those with existing team that has already have a product with, like Horyou has a few 100,000 people using the app already, and that gives us more confidence. But in any case, right, even the best project, for example, last year we have Tezos who raised 200 million, all the famous people are inside the team, And yet, you know, because of one scandal, the whole project almost ran down the hill. So I say the risk is always there, but...
And it sort of raises the irony that, you know, the whole idea of decentralization is the removal of authority figures, and now we're saying you can only judge them by the presence of authority
But the
figures.
interesting thing is because of the decentralized autonomous organization, which I see people are trying to do that, because it takes time. This economy is too new. This technology is too new already. Even for a recent project I'm looking at, to have enough smart contracts to decentralize your organization so that you can have voting rights for all decisions will easily take a year or two. That's that's the fact. Even for Horyou, right? I'm sure to decentralize the whole organization for the foundation to run decisions based on voting will take some time because the technology is not yet matured enough for us to do that. We are all testing. There are so many platforms out there, like, for example, EOS, Elastus. You know, these are fundamental platforms that will change a lot of things, but who is to know which is the platform will ultimately gain mass adoption? We wouldn't know because it's still changing every day as we speak. Yeah.
Yeah, I think...
As a lawyer, I'd like to mention something. I think that in blockchain project and ICO project, the governance issue is very important. Transparency is very important. When you look at the certain ICOs, don't look at just the team and just a white paper and terms and condition. You have to look after that. So you have the ICO project to find out whether there's a clear, transparent mechanism there. There's a corporate governance issue. How clearly, how transparently the funds raised by ICO will be managed after the ICO. So ICO in itself is not the end of the story, right? After the ICO is very, very important. How the team members implement their project, deliver on their promises, all the promises in the white paper. So in terms of that, you have to look at the governance system where, as an investor, you have some kind of say or mechanism to control how the funds will be spent and managed later on the stage. That's very important. So you have to look at something in the white paper saying about some kind of regular audit by outside auditor, right? I mean, blockchain product develops, there are lots of players coming up, like rating companies and auditing companies and all the professional service companies, right? So you have to look at that, to find out whether there are regular audit systems. So the ICO issuer is subject themselves to certain regular audit by the outside auditor to provide as much information about the project to the investor. So that's one point the investor, as a general public, as investors, should be aware of.
Okay, let's wrap up the session by asking each of you the key question about leveraging the promise here. What do you see as being the most impactful use case for blockchain in the field of inclusion, of empowerment, of social impact, of doing good? Kazu, let me begin with you.
やはり、何度もお話しますけど、新しいものだということでまずしっかりと捉えることと、それからまたそれをどう必要性としてこう活用していくかっていうのは、各々国であったり企業であったり、それを取り組むところが、必要性を作り上げるということで、市場性とか、それからまたこのブロックチェーンの可能性というのはもう膨大な可能性は秘めていることは間違いないと思います。で、その中でもさっきお話にあった暗号通貨についての ICO 等の規制にしても、そこにはやっぱりちゃんと審査基準というものをもっと強化したり、それからまた、もう一つはやっぱ教育という部分がやっぱ充実させていかなければ、いけないではないかなというところでは僕は感じています。はい。
Sigan, specific use cases.
I advise in various ICO projects. I mean, sometimes it involves the game item, sometimes augmented reality project, some involves real estate project. But I think that if we follow the spirit of decentralization of blockchain, I think that technology should serve for some common goods. So I don't think it should be driven by commercial purposes. Most of the ICOs are driven by commercial, greed or profits and all those that. But real value of a blockchain and then cryptocurrency is that some ways to serve for common goods. I saw the presentation in the morning about time. I forget about the project. Yes, your project. I think that project is completely in line of the basic spirit, underlying principle of blockchain. So I think that those projects more promoted and the more developed and the more thought about. So how take advantage of the blockchain in the principal way and then serving the common good of every people. General people.
Time Tech was
Time
the
Tech.
presentation.
Sorry about that, but Time Tech, your product is very good.
But Karen, I'm just thinking, people talk about empowering the unbanked. People talk about identity mechanisms. People talk about social situations in which we can deploy this that will give power to those without it. Do you see a particularly promising area?
For me, the most promising area will be the fact that it is possible that having the blockchain to decentralize all the different verticals, right? There's a chance for us to have a universal basic income. I think just now Mr. Damien Tan talked about it too, because our identity, our access data, even our address, like a project like Domain that gives an address to every single one of you, as long as you have a handphone. So even if the government don't give you an address, you will be able to have your address, and you'll be able to monetize your address, your identity. By having that, maybe one day we will have a minimum income, just by being yourself as an asset.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Jonathan, you've made a massive commitment to where you think it's going, but expand a little bit more on how you think we can leverage this technology for social impact.
Well, I think first of all, it's like it's a beginning. It has been said. So my commitment, and that's a commitment of Oryu, is to support initiatives that are advocating for social good and social inclusion. So we are doing it ourselves with our social network and our Oryu token. But that's just the beginning. It's like we have to identify the other projects that will be able to resonate, and that is a new world to shape. What I can mention to you in terms of the recent stage for us is like between the idea and the execution of the idea, you have so many things to do. And that requires so many different expertise. So that's good because it enables, the projects that are not serious to be at some point, put aside. So there is a natural, at the end of the day, there is a natural, selection in the process. But what is important is to always look at why would you use a technology like this? If it's just to be making the news, well, you will be a very fast catch-up, based on that. But if it's to solve a real problem, if it's to make it something more efficient with an impact, that's something completely different.
But for the people in the audience, for instance, apart from investing in a project, a token, an initiative, is there any way they can engage with this in a meaningful sense? How would you recommend that we start leveraging some of this stuff in a broader way?
Well, if you want to make some impact and if you want to make something good, first it comes from you. It's not coming from the technology. It's coming from what you want to support. So at the current moment, we have more than 190 nations that have signed the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So those 17 goals are almost covering all the current challenges and area where we can make human progress. So when we have on that social network we created, every user will have to choose the flexibility to choose which cause will be, important and resonating for. So the first thing is start by us by us trying to be curious and trying to find, okay, well, I resonate for oceans, I resonate for climate, I resonate for women empowerment, I resonate for... And that's what this conference is about. And from that, you can find your passion. And from that passion, you can make, like some time to dedicate, allocating that, maybe for projects. You will be pro bono, or you will be, like investing, or you will be, like supporting, or maybe your own project. And all of this is actually, like something which is about energy, it's about curiosity, it's about encounterings.
Ken, your final thoughts.
I think about the blockchain in the same way that the internet has on social impact, right? So I think that the blockchain actually is going to create new structures within the internet. It's kind of like a trust layer for the internet, where you can have things like identity, you can have things like smart contracts, you can have things like a general integration of the digital economy with the economy that we have today. So if we think about how the internet has caused mass, availability of information to 3.5 billion people today on the planet, I think blockchain has a huge role to play in the years to come for allowing the internet to be a much more secure and stable place with much more efficient business processes on the business end side of things. So that, for me, is the real promise of blockchain.
And the financialization of the coins and the speculative aspect to you is not a long-term problem.
Yeah, so, okay, actually that point, I realize we're running out of time here, but the ICO is a very unfortunate term. Because if you think about how a company runs from seed stage to A, B, C, and then IPO, what cryptocurrencies have done is essentially bypass all of that with no regulation and no product, you see. So all this speculation is really private equity, right? It's private equity made public in a very short period of time. So it's a very unnatural environment.
And a very challenging one. As I mentioned, there are so many aspects to this, and we've scratched the surface of a few of them. But I hopefully shed a little bit of light on how they can impact the philanthropic space. Folks, please show your appreciation for our panel. Thank you very much, panel, indeed. And the conversation will continue, hopefully, over lunch, because it is time to have lunch. Folks, we've got stuff for you outside. We've got a packed agenda of really interesting events coming up after lunch, so please do enjoy your break, and I hope to see you fairly shortly after that, where we'll play you some music and tell you how that is an important element to getting people to understand blockchain a bit more. Thanks very much indeed, and we'll see you very shortly.